suitcase by the door. Didn't know what I was leaving for. Tears still let go down the hall. Thought I lost it all. Sister said, just take the ride. I rolled my eyes but climbed inside. Didn't know that broken roads led where healing grows. I was holding on to yesterday. Didn't see the light along the way. But every mile, every turn lit a fire I forgot could burn. We took the long way home. Didn't have a map to follow, but somewhere down that winding road we found more than tomorrow. Right people, hearts learning how to bend. What felt like the end of me was a detour to friendship. Laughter in a midnight song. Voices shaky, but we sang along. Strangers turn to something real in the way we feel.
Morning broke like a whispered secret, a pale sheet of fog clinging to every pine needle at the Tranquil Pines Wellness Retreat. Dawn's glow struggled through the mist, casting gray gold shafts across the patio where the group gathered for breakfast. The aftermath of last night's meltdown hung heavy in the air. Half of our group sat hunched, avoiding eye contact behind steamy mugs, while the rest jabbed at oatmeal that glistened unappetizingly as if it had personally betrayed them. The clink of spoons on porcelain was the only soundtrack until Red, radiant in a sunrise orange hoodie, snapped her fingers and beamed. Good morning, soul travelers. Remember, storms cleanse the air. Her voice was bright enough to cut through the gloom, but Georgia, wrapped in a charcoal gray shawl, leaned over her bowl and muttered low enough for only me to hear. Then the air is about to be spotless because this group's a Category 5. I sat at a small corner table, elbows planted wide, cradling my coffee cup like a confession booth. The dark liquid steamed up to my tired eyes, which was rimmed pink and rimmed with unspoken worries. When Georgia slid onto the bench opposite me, I braced for a barb, yet Georgia's expression was soft. She reached out, brushing a loose strand of my hair away from my cheek. You were honest, she said quietly. I closed my eyes for a moment, exhaling a tremor of relief. I was awful, I whispered back. Tomato, tomato, Georgia teased, offering a half smile. You just said what half of us were thinking, only without the caffeine jitters. I let out a shaky laugh. Booker won't even look at me. Esmeralda probably thinks I'm jealous. George's brow arched. Are you? I paused, my gaze dropping to the swirling coffee. Maybe a little. Georgia leaned in, her voice half laughing. Of her or him? I groaned, pressing my palms to my temples. Please don't start. By the mist-kissed lake, the water lay smooth as glass, broken only by the soft plunk of stone skipping across its surface. Booker knelt at the shore, each toss creating expanded rings that glimmered in the gray morning light. He wore yesterday's doubts like a coat that was too big for him. Red appeared beside him, slipping a warm thermos in his hand. The metal was cool, but inside the coffee was piping hot. You look like a man who's been hit by a truth bomb, she observed, her voice gentle. Booker cracked a rueful smile. Yeah, well, it detonated right next to my ego. He held the now open thermos between both hands, inhaling deeply. She wasn't wrong, you know, Red murmured, scanning his reflective face. You charm your way out of ever being known. He turned, eyes tracing the fog-shrouded treetops. I spent most of my life molding myself to other people's expectations. Now that the jokes have faded, I barely recognize the person in the mirror. Red's smile was sad and steady. She traced a finger along the rim of her own thermos. Sometimes the longest journey isn't the one on the map, she said, watching ripples spread across the lake. It's the road back to who you were before the world told you who to be. Inside, Esmeralda sat at the cocoon of her own immaculate room, walls painted in unblemished ivory, surfaces cleared of everything but a single vase of lilies. Her phone lay on her lap, its screen blinking with missed calls from the firm. Each buzz felt like a nail in the coffin of her self-discovery. She thought of Marlowe's words, sharp, urgent, and impossible to ignore. You never talk about anything real. A tight knot formed in her chest as memories surfaced. The fiancé who slipped away when she chose career ambition over wedding bells. The endless nights under harsh fluorescent lights in a cubicle that felt more like a prison cell than an office. She closed her eyes, letting the fog of regret and longing settle. When an unexpected knock sounded at her door, her heart fluttered. She half hoped for Booker. But when Marlowe slipped inside, gently twisting her hands, it felt like the start of something honest. "Hey," I said, voice hushed, "can we talk?" Esmeralda's walls trembled in answer as she nodded. "I'm sorry," I began, stepping closer. "Last night, I was out of line, and you didn't deserve that." Esmeralda sighed, the tension in her shoulders melting. "You weren't exactly wrong. You just hit the nerve I've been ignoring." They moved to the window seat where fat raindrops tapped a gentle rhythm on the glass. Esmeralda let out a short laugh. "Isn't it sad? I came here to feel something again, and all it took was someone yelling at me." I returned her smile. "Well, I guess I'm good for something after all." And between them bloomed an unspoken truce. That evening, under the canopy of a star-pricked sky, the group assembled around a crackling campfire. Warm, smoky light danced over faces still raw but softened by shared vulnerability. Georgia, ever the impromptu lecturer, held aloft a perfect, toasty marshmallow. "Let's talk about the emotional benefits of s'mores," she announced, arching an eyebrow as the chocolate beneath the sugar blob began to melt. Booker approached, shoulders squared with a tentative hope, eyes flickering between Esmeralda and I. "Mind if I join?" he asked, his voice low. Georgia handed him a roasting stick without missing a beat. "Only if you brought snacks. They're a piece cheaper with sugar." Laughter bubbled through the circle, warm as the firelight. I caught Booker's gaze, heart fluttering. "I shouldn't have said what I said," I murmured. He shook his head, amber embers reflecting in his eyes. "No, you should have. I just wasn't ready to hear it." They sat quietly, shoulders nearly touching, watching the flames twist and leap. Esmeralda watched them, then felt Booker's gaze flick to her. In that moment, in that look was empathy, not romance, something sturdier and truer. Connection, forged in honesty instead of charm. When most of the group drifted off toward their cabins, Georgia lingered beside Red, the two silhouetted by the dying fire. Georgia held her last marshmallow aloft like a chalice. "You think they'll make it through the rest of the trip without more drama?" she asked, voice soft. Red's grin glowed in the amber light. "Oh, absolutely not. But this time, they'll weather it better." Georgia lifted her sugar-kissed stick. "Two messy people finding their way." Red tapped hers against George's in a quiet toast. "To detours and the friends you find when the map falls apart." The fire crackled in agreement. The stars blinked awake overhead, and for the first time since sunrise, the hush among them felt like peace. Thank you so much for listening. The final episode is coming next week, so please stay tuned.
by the door. Didn't know what I was leaving for. Tears still echo down the hall. Thought I lost it all. Sister said, just take the ride. I rolled my eyes but climbed inside. Didn't know that broken roads led where healing grows. I was holding on to yesterday. Didn't see the light along the way. But every mile, every turn lit a fire I forgot could burn. We took the